Hey, what's up, guys? What is up? What is up? This is Peter from HDR School. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about a shift that's going to happen on the channel. Um, and it's just kind of let me tell you what I'm going to do, and then let me tell you the journey on why I feel I need to do this. Here's what's happening. I'm going to start doing a lot more reviews on vintage lenses, old manual lenses that you can use to get amazing images without dropping $3,000 on a lens. With that said, I'm shooting on a Tamron 15 to 30 G2 right now, but I just feel like this is something that there's a lot of guys that are photographers that are getting started. They maybe come from a background where they don't have access to the 70 to 200 VR2. You know, they just financially can't do it. And so I wanted to make it where to teach where stuff they can get their hands on. Here's kind of the journey that happened. A friend of mine is getting involved in photography. Okay? And so she had bought a camera. I think it's a Canon 5D Mark II. But you know, she has the lens that came with it, but that's all she can get, and she doesn't have a lot of money as a missionary. Okay, so, you know, we were having this conversation, so I was, you know, and I kind of pointed her to the old FD Canon lenses you can pick up for 30, 40, 50 bucks on eBay, and you can just use the aperture ring and do that until she can build a business out of it, and then she can get the nice $2,000 lenses. And it kind of led me into a conversation within my own head of, hey, how many people out there are in her position where they have a camera, they have their kit lens, but they really can't upgrade because of finances. And what would happen if I started teaching how to do photography with vintage lenses? And so that's kind of the conversation, and that's kind of how it came about and why it came about. And it led me, you know, because there's some really, really solid glass out there that is vintage lenses. You know, in fact, I have one that's going to be delivered early next week. It'll be the first video I do. It's a 200 f4 portrait lens. How can you do landscape with a 200 millimeter? You get some tight shots. I'm going to show you how to use it for landscape, number one. Number two, I'm also going to show you how to use it for some panorama shots. Yes, 200's that's not an ideal aperture, but that's where we're going to start. I'm also looking at getting the 100 to 300 f5.6. It's you can pick them up for 50 bucks on eBay. And you know, that's a really good lens, because if you want to talk about the equivalent of that today in the newer lenses, you're talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I would have to look it up, but it's crazy. So when you look at that, this is definitely a way to develop as a photographer, especially early on, until you can get the expensive glass. You know, I'll put an image up. It's actually the image I got right here, but anyways, so I'll put it up. That was shot with a 50 mil 1.4 AIS lens, less than $100. Another image I got. This was shot with a Rukon 85 mil 1.4. Again, just a little over $100. So it isn't about spending the money to be in photography. Photography is expensive, but there is cheap ways to get amazing glass, and that's what I want to show you. And I'm probably going to shift the channel to more doing that type of stuff, because everybody wants to jump to the newest Z7, Z9, all the greatest new lenses, and that's where the views are, and I get that. But I want to show someone, hey, if you got a D3000, okay, you bought for 50, 60 bucks, you can find a D100 for $50. Okay, and you get some old glass for $50. You had $100 invested. You can get some amazing pictures, and that's what I want to focus in on. That's kind of what I thought, and that's kind of so it's going to be a shift. I am going to still be doing HDR. I'm going to still be teaching how to do HDR photography, but we're going to be using some vintage glass, and I may even get some old school cameras. Somewhere I still have my D7000 camera that I started when I went digital. Okay, well I had a D3100 then, D3200, but I didn't keep them very long and ended up going up the D7000 pretty quick. So D7000 is where I really started. So I'm going to try and see if I can find that and go old school camera, old school lens, and see what we can do. That's it. I'm out.